And welcome back, Nats fans, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show. I'm your host, District on Deck co-editor Ricky Keeler. As the Nationals win this game tonight over the Pittsburgh Pirates 6-1, they've taken the first two games of the series. They're now at 97 wins for the season, just one win away from tying their franchise high. And if they win the next two games, they'll break the franchise high for most wins in a single season. A lot of great things to talk about tonight. Ryan Zimmerman with 2 home runs, 4 extra base hits. He now has 250 career home runs for his career. He's been fantastic. Trey Turner reached his on-base streak to 8 straight, even though he struck out in the 7th inning. He had a great night. Murphy, a multi-hit night. Rendon, a multi-hit night. Jason Worth went deep. And Stephen Strasburg, flat out excellent in this ball game, ended his regular season on a great note. Basically, there wasn't a lot of bad things by the Nationals tonight, outside of maybe a bad game by Bryce Harper. There's really nothing negative to critique this team on. They had everybody was clicking tonight right out of the gate against Garrett Cole, and that's probably their last big test because they're not going to see a dominant pitcher the rest of the way, at least these last 2 games, until next Friday, a week from tonight, when we have game 1 against the Cubs, which we do have news on the Cubs we'll get to. It's not good for Chicago, so we'll talk about that. We're talking about the plan for Bryce Harper. We'll talk about what Dusty might do with the first couple games and how he might line up the rotation. And we also have a Nats-Cubs trivia question. I know Seth recommended a trivia question, so I have one for you, and I'll throw it out to you later in the show. But feel free to send me a question here in the chat room on the YouTube page or tweet me on Twitter at District on Deck or at Rickinator555. So let's get to the totals. Nationals get 6 runs on 12 hits, 1 error. Pirates 1 run on 4 hits, no errors. Stephen Strasburg gets the win, 15-4 now on the season, ends his regular season with an ERA of 2.52, 7 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 98 pitches, 63 strikes, just near 100 pitches. Garrett Cole took the loss, 5 1/3, 3 runs, 8 hits. He struck out 7, walked 1. That line's not as bad as it looks. Garrett Cole, I thought, had some excellent stuff after the first inning. Just the Nats finally got to him in the 6th, and we were able to get some runs against that Pirates bullpen. So let's see what you guys are talking about here in the chat before we dive into some specifics. We've got a lot of stuff here. Judo Joker says, what a game. Flirting with a perfect game for Strauss. 2 hits for Trey. Anthony Rendon, Murphy, 4 for 4 for Ryan Zimmerman, 2 hits for Jason Worth. Yeah, it's hard to come up with an MVP tonight, Judo. I think everybody was excellent in this game. I would give it to Ryan Zimmerman, though. That's the kind of game they need him to have next week. Because if Dusty's going to put him in that number 5 spot, Joe Maddon's going to be careful about pitching to Harper and pitching to Murphy. I don't see Bryce Harper hitting second. I think they're just doing this to get him at bats. I would not do it in the postseason because you got to let Trey Turner steal those bases, and he's been red hot. So Zimmerman needs to have the kind of game tonight next week. I think that he's going to be the difference in why this team makes it to the NLCS or doesn't. And we'll talk about his career numbers against the Cubs as the week next week goes on. They're not very good. Yes, Seth, Zimmerman does have 251. But he did his 250th. Thanks for the correction on that. Seth says, if Strasburg pitches like this on Friday, I feel bad for the Cubs. I don't know, Seth. Do you feel that Strasburg should pitch on Friday? I still think it should be Max Scherzer. I understand why fans want Strasburg, and I don't think that's a bad argument to have. But Max Scherzer is your ace. I mean, I want my ace going game 1. I'm not going to get too cute with the matchups here. I mean, I think if anything, Strasburg maybe has sealed the game 2 start, although I could make the case for Gio just to get a lefty in there and sort of mix up Scherzer and Strasburg. There's so many ways Dusty can go here. I just think you pay Max Scherzer all this money, and you pay Strasburg a lot of money, but you're paying Scherzer over $200 million to make this start, to win a postseason game, to get you off to a great start. I would hand the ball personally to Max Scherzer just to get him those 2 starts. I think he's earned. All 3 of them have earned it. I mean, if all 3 pitch their way they're capable of, it doesn't matter what order Dusty puts them in; they'll move on. But I would put Scherzer, but that's just my preference. Yeah, I'm interested, Seth, and you said Strasburg. I don't disagree. it's a good thing to have a lot of choices. I just think if you have a shot and you can give Max Scherzer the ball, you give him the ball. I understand he's had his share of injuries lately, but it's not like he's been bad. He seemed to bounce back from his rough start. Had a great game Sunday against the Mets, which we'll get into. But I give him the ball, but I can understand. And I think Judo brings a good point, the durability. Strasburg's still cramping. And that's a problem. I mean, I know the weather's going to get actually colder next week, you hope. I mean, it's actually 60 degrees here in New York. It's actually really nice. But I'm just concerned about that in a postseason game. Now, it doesn't mean I don't feel confident in getting the ball. But I think Scherzer has the slight edge. But I don't disagree with your point. Judo says Barton, Calamity, and Nats will have 3 starting pitchers each with 15-plus wins and less than 3 ERA. Yeah, this rotation's been unbelievable. Even Tanner Roark, who's going to fall just short of 15 wins, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a little bit of a relief appearance either tomorrow or Sunday, just get him a couple innings because he won't be pitching for a while. Maybe you shorten Gio's outing to get Roark in the game. That could be a possibility. But it's still amazing how good this rotation's been this year with really a revolving door of 5 starters. You've done a fantastic job. Yeah, Judah, we're going to give the ball to Edwin Jackson game 1. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. But the Nats got this game started well. I mean, yes, Bob Henley sent Daniel Murphy when he probably shouldn't have. But when you can get everybody out, you got Trey Turner with the base hit. Rendon gets a base hit. Murphy gets a base hit. Zimmerman picks up the 2-run, gets the RBI double. Murphy gets thrown out at the plate, but you get on the board, make it 1-0. And that was really all Stephen Strasburg needed. His changeup was working. His fastball is in the mid to late 90s. Was racking up those strikeouts, especially early. He had 5 Ks in the first 9 batters. He was perfect through 4 2/3 until a base hit by Gregory Polanco that went off of the hand of Ryan Zimmerman. Really a tough break for Strasburg. But besides that, he had all of his pitches working tonight. And he left you really with no doubt on how he's ready for the postseason. And that second half ERA that we talked about that's been so minuscule this season is going to continue to get lower. And we saw Ken Rosenthal tweet, I think it was yesterday, that he would have Strasburg 3rd on his Cy Young vote. I wouldn't have thought that a month ago. And it makes you think about if Stephen Strasburg was healthy, instead of missing all that time, maybe he's got a shot at the Cy Young Award. It wouldn't be either one of a possibility. Right now, to me, Scherzer is the guy, but Strasburg is definitely making an interesting case, to say the least. I'm just going to get his exact second half numbers here. While I do that, I love what Trey Turner did tonight. 2 more hits. Anthony Rendon, 2 more hits. Daniel Murphy looking locked in. He's got 2 more hits. But the story is Ryan Zimmerman, and I talked about it earlier. Jason Worth, maybe that home run gets him going. But now you got Rendon hitting over 300. Zim's hitting over 300. Murphy's over 320. Harper's at 320, and I'm a little bit concerned with Bryce Harper right now. He did go 0 for 4, had a couple of double plays, struck out once. He's only had 1 hit since coming back, and again, he had the day off yesterday. Got a chance to be in the lineup today. And Dusty brought it up pregame. There's a chance he's not going to play all 9 innings in a game the rest of the way. So that's a little bit of a concern. I don't doubt Bryce Harper is going to find it. But you're not exactly feeling like, oh, he's ready to go. I think he's gonna play, and he's gonna give it everything he has. But you wonder if they're running out of time. But your only hope is maybe that Madden treats him like a decoy, and it helps the other guys get going, at least normalize this lineup, which it looks like it's doing. If you go off tonight, this is probably your game 1 lineup, outside of maybe Harper hitting second. But if they can hit like they did tonight, they went 3 for 5 at men's scoring position. They got the job done. Either way, Harper's impact in the lineup might be better than even if he's 70, 80%. And he's probably better than any right fielder that Cubs have as well. Whether it's Jason Hayward, whether they use Ian Happ, probably better in that regard anyway. Let's see. Seth says my side would be Max, Strasburg, Gio, then Kershaw. I'm surprised Kershaw is close to 17 wins. He's going to get a shot at 18 wins. I'm surprised he actually has that many wins with all the time he's missed. We don't need Harper to beat the Cubs, in my opinion. Don't judge. That's my gut feeling. Not going to judge you. I remember Ron was just thinking the same thing. I think Press is just my opinion, Seth. I think you need him. I think you need him to maybe get that couple of big hits in the middle of the lineup, you need his presence in the lineup because it will make Joe Madden at least think about it a little bit. Like, I want to make Madden think as much as possible. So if Harper's in there and he's at least taking pitches, he's using that good eye, as long as he runs into one, and he's going to run into one eventually, he's going to make an impact on this series coming up. And I'd rather have Bryce Harper making an impact than him not being there at all. Which is why I think even just his presence is helping this team. They really were a bad offensive team in September without him. So having him back, I think, just helps the other guys get back in their routine. I think that's just as important. Yes, I want to mention Bob Carpenter's scorebook. That was pretty cool. If you were watching on Masson, Bob Carpenter was kind of showing the fans how he goes about his scorebook, and he was signing scorebooks before the game. And I love when I go to baseball games, I keep score with the program, and sometimes when I live tweet, I sort of keep a little scorecard. It's one of my favorite things to do in watching the baseball. It just keeps you in the game. I mean, FP brought up a good point too. It doesn't matter how you keep a scorecard, just if you can read it. So I remember I used to cover stat on Yankee games in the mine when I covered at Yankee Schoolyard. So I used to always bring a scorecard with me and would help me ask questions to the manager. So if you can sort of have those little ones, I like the ones I get where I can write down like which pitch was a strike and all that stuff. It helps me track how the game's going. So I enjoy always keeping score. I think that's really important. So I think that was a lot of fun. Albert Perez did a nice job. Got to find out in the 8th inning. Matt Grace, a little bit inconsistent. Give up the RBI double to McCutchen. I don't think he's making the postseason roster. I'd be kind of surprised the Nats even took a long reliever at all. I mean, Edwin Jackson, I think, has a shot after the good start he had last night. A.J. Cole, I don't think has much of a chance. And Matt Grace starting right out of time himself. And he's not been the same guy that he was in the middle of the season. But that doesn't take away from the accomplishments that he did this year. It was probably one of their better relievers for a time. Now, let me ask us, Seth, you said start Victor Robles. Are you saying start him in left or in right? I'm trying to figure out who you want to take out of the lineup in that instance. But I'll let you think about that for a minute. But in the middle of the order lineup is clicking like this. You have Rendon, Murphy, and Zimmerman tonight when a combined 8 for 12. I can get that in the playoff. I'm going to win every time through. And it's important that they get those 3 guys on a roll going in. I think they absolutely have to find a way to get that done to have a shot. But the key, I think, is going to be Turner. He's had, I think, about 29 hits this month, the second best month of his season. Getting in the right form. If he can steal some more bases, I'll get a shot. And Chelsea Janes had this. Dusty floated the idea that the Nats might not announce their Game 1 starter until Thursday or later. Now, I think there's kind of a rule they have to announce it by a certain time. But I'm not ruling that out. Dusty's got a gamesmanship thing going on here where he's said today, don't read into the order, but you could read into the order. He's not going to give the Cubs any kind of game planning ideas, so I would not be surprised if they took until late next week to publicly name their Game 1 starter. They're going to try to keep as close to the vest as possible as to what that order is. That's why I love what Dusty is. Yeah, I love the Trey Turner Victor Robles combo, Seth, but I got to put Bryce Harper in the lineup. I can't take him out. I think he's just too important. Robles, if he does make the roster, he's going to be on there for his speed, but he's going to be vital late in the games and pinch running situations. I think that's his value right now. He'll play a bigger factor in the future. He's got that kind of talent, but for this year's team specifically, this year's team in the win now mode needs Bryce Harper more than ever. So we'll see what Judo comes up with that research. But I love the gamesmanship aspect. Dusty is really good at that. I think that's why hopefully he gets that contract extension that he wants. But interesting that they told the media that tonight. But he also, Chelsea added, the Nationals do have their plan already. So they have their plan. They just don't want to tell anybody. So at least they know before anybody else does. That's more important. At least they need to know something. Judo says Phillies almost got in 2011, had 2 such pitchers, and Hamels went 14-9 with a 2.79. I believe didn't that Phillies team, was that the one, Judo, that lost to St. Louis? Phillies should have had a lot more world championships with the rotation that they had, and they built up all those arms for it. So I think that's important. The other big news involving the NLDS, no game times yet. Jake Arrieta is actually going to miss his start on Sunday with that hamstring issue. They're talking about wanting to give him more rest. So it sounds like the earliest Arrieta will pitch is Game 3, which is October 9th at Wrigley Field. So you're looking at any combination of Kyle Hendricks, Jose Quintana, and John Lester for the first 2 games. And from what I read, I forget who had it, and I apologize. I should have wrote down who wrote this. A lot of people think Madden is kind of hinting that Kyle Hendricks could pitch Game 1. Now, you might think, oh, whoever the Nats throw might have the edge against Hendricks. But Hendricks has had good numbers against the Nationals the last couple of years, and he kind of has that great changeup. He likes to use the off-speed stuff. He doesn't throw the fastball as hard. Kind of be a change of pace when you, let's say you maybe want to throw Lester in Game 2 or Quintana in Game 2. Quintana's been excellent down the stretch. The Cubs still have good pitching depth, but if Arrieta is not 100%, that changes this entire series. Because Arrieta, I thought, was okay against Milwaukee, but not having him, like I said, changes everything in this series. Even if he's less than 100% pitching Game 3 in maybe a windy afternoon or a windy night at Wrigley, that can change everything. Yeah, I mean, Harper could get walked, but I think, Seth, that's also important. Walks are just as important in the postseason. Remember last year, go back to Game 4, if the Nats had won that game and clinched in L.A., the most important at bat would have been Bryce Harper's walk against Clayton Kershaw, because that got him out of the game and allowed Murphy to get the RBI base hit. So don't discount walks as being very important. That's what Jason Wirth's value is as well, is he's going to work the pitch count up against the starter. Which I'm doing a tail of the tape, looking at each position for next week. And I kind of like the Wirth left field matchup because Kyle Schwarber takes a lot of pitches. It was like 4.3. He actually leads the team in that category. So left field's a position you want to keep an eye on. I don't think there's a really big edge there between the two teams. So that's really your NLDS update and what's going on over there. Again, Friday night, we don't have a start time yet. The Nats won't announce start times. I'm sure, well, baseball won't announce start times probably, I would think, until after the games on Sunday at the earliest. You might see it Monday night as well. But I don't think they'll have a start time announced. And I understand that TBS kind of had something yesterday and they kind of denied it. I would lean toward if there is, I think TBS is right, but we'll find out what's happening with Friday afternoon. Let's go around the playoff races real quick. The only couple left are in the NL's wild card and the AL East. So I'll start with the NL wild card because that's more prevalent. The Rockies are dominating the Dodgers right now, 9-1. That game in the bottom of the 6th. Charlie Blackmon 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, including a home run, his 37th of the season. Nolan Arenado has a home run. Mark Reynolds has a home run, his 30th. Trevor Story's got 24. Blackmon, I think, now has 101 RBIs out of the leadoff spot. I think now he's at 103 for the season. He's definitely got a good case for MVP. So Colorado, at the very least, is going to get that magic number down to 1. It does not look like they're going to clinch tonight. Milwaukee has a 4-1 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. So at the very least, Colorado looks to be 2 up with 2 to play. So they would either have to win one more game this weekend. Milwaukee would have to lose one more game. And the fact that the Dodgers, I don't know how really hard they're going to play these last couple of games. I do think Colorado is going to get that wild card spot. They're going to hang on. St. Louis has been an absolute mess this week. I thought they had a real good chance, and they just haven't been able to find their groove outside maybe one game against the Cubs this week. So I think Colorado will be playing Arizona on Wednesday. Well, now we'll go to the AL East. Now, since Ron likes to start with the Yankees, I'm going to start with the Red Sox. The Red Sox lost tonight 3-2 to the Houston Astros. Charlie Morton did get the win, his 14th of the season. Alex Bregman, a 2-run homer in the 5th, his 19th of the year. David Price, keep an eye on him in the playoffs. He's got a bad playoff track record, but a good one in the bullpen. Remember the time with the Rays, and he's been throwing 95 out of the pen. So if John Farrell can use him correctly, that's a big if. He could be a difference maker. But the Red Sox are not making it easy. Their magic number is down to 1, and the Yankees earlier today beat the Blue Jays 4-0. Masahiro Tanaka, 7 innings, 3 hits, 15 strikeouts, and didn't walk anybody. Starlin Castro, Greg Bird, and Aaron Judge with RBIs. Judge is 113th of the season. I still think Altuve is the MVP. I would think his consistency the whole season plays a difference, but I wouldn't blame someone for voting Judge for all the home runs he's hit. He's up to 51 this year. Same way I wouldn't blame someone for voting Stanton, who did not get to 60 home runs tonight, as the Braves lost 6-5 to the Miami Marlins. Stanton did have an RBI. He got to 130 now on the season. Marcell Ozuna's up to 122. Adam Conley got the win out of relief, and it was Winkler who got the loss for Atlanta. And then in Philadelphia, the Phillies beat the Mets 6-2. Matt Harvey took the loss, ends his season with a 6.70 ERA, one of the highest in Mets history. Jose Reyes and Dom Smith with sole home runs in the loss. The big news today around the NL East is Pete Mackanin got reassigned to being a special assistant to the GM. And I know the Phillies were kind of using Mackanin as kind of like that manager just to hold the fort. But the Phillies were pretty good in the second half. They're 36-37 since the All-Star break. And that's with including Hoskins and Williams, and Nola's had a good year. Herrera's can have his crazy antics, but he's been pretty good. I'm surprised Mackanin, who got an extension in May, didn't get fired, but he kind of did. And we'll see what the Phillies decide as their next manager. But that one surprised me. Also, what's going on with the Mets. You got Mark Carrigan, Newsday. If you didn't read the report yesterday, the Fred Wilpon has done his best to try to keep Terry Collins, and Sandy and everybody else doesn't really want him anymore, and they're blaming him for everything, and there's anonymous quotes. It's sad. It's sad that Terry's ending like that, because someone who lives in New York, and I don't think Collins got enough credit for the Mets reaching the World Series a couple of years ago. He did so much with that team. He was right there as the Mets were struggling and helped them rebuild to getting to that postseason in 2015 and getting to the wild card game last year despite all those injuries they had. It's amazing. I don't get it. I don't get why they're trying to basically burn the door for Terry Collins as he walks out of it. But I don't know what Sandy's got in mind. I don't like the way they're treating Terry out the door. Like I said tonight, I know Judo, I think, tweeted this to me. I hope Matt Harvey finds it. But right now, I mean, there's no confidence for him going into next year. I mean, he had a game. They get a pitch night where he dropped the ball and ended up being a balk. That's how bad it's been for Matt Harvey this year. And yeah, Tanaka was definitely amazing today. They need that, though, Seth. I think if they go play Cleveland and they use Severino in the wild card game, they need Tanaka for game 2. I think the Yankees honestly want to get the wild card. I mean, we saw Joe Girardi last night. Didn't really use his A-plus relievers in a close game against Tampa Bay, because if the Yankees and Red Sox tie, they have to play a one-game playoff on Monday, and they'd have to burn Severino on Monday. You'd have to pitch, if you lose that, pitch Gray on Tuesday, which means Tanaka would pitch game 1. They need Tanaka, though, Seth, to be a lot more consistent. Not like today, but a little bit better. He's up and down this year. I mean, to be honest, CeCe's been more consistent at times than Tanaka's been. Yeah, they did want to keep Mackanin around. I think it's important that they put him in that role, but still, you look at the NL East, and you got Philadelphia looking for a manager. The Mets will probably look for a manager. Jeter's firing everybody left and right in Miami. Who knows if Mattingly will still be there. And Brian Snitker's not guaranteed to get the job in Atlanta next year. There's a lot of uncertainty in the NL East. I think that benefits the Nationals, who had the same look of uncertainty 2 years ago, and they've rewrited that ship for sure. Good to see you feeling better, Seth, as well. Let's see what else we got here. Let's take a look. All right, so I got my trivia question for you guys. Maybe you think about this one. The Cubs and Nationals have made 2 trades since 2013. Who was the last player the Nats got from the Cubs in July 2013? I'll give you a hint. He played a bunch of different positions. Here's your hint. So we'll see if you figure that out. Give you a couple minutes to sort of put your guesses in. But I do think this is going to be a fun postseason. I think you look at Colorado and Arizona. I think Greinke against Gray, if that is the matchup. I think Greinke's got the edge, but you never know. That's why they play one game. Even the Twins, I think, with Santana, who has all that postseason experience, if they do play the Yankees, he's got a shot. Severino's never pitched in a playoff game before. That's the wonders of October, that you get great games like that. Let's see if we got any other tweets here. Any thoughts, quotes from Dusty? I don't think we have anything else other than his gamesmanship, which I think is important. By the way, Jason Worth, the 10th different Nationals player to have 10 home runs this year. I think Howie Kendrick is close as well. So the Nats just continuing to find different guys that hit 10 home runs. And you wonder if Brian Goodwin was healthy, he'd have a shot at 10 home runs. I think he's at 8 for the season. Kendrick has 9, so he would have to hit one more to get to 10. Let's take a look at the pitching matchup for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be with you for my final DoDcast of the regular season. Ron is supposed to be with you on Sunday. Jameson Taillon gets started for the Pirates. Taillon's 8-7 with a 4.62 ERA against Max Scherzer, 16-6, 2.55. So he'll get a chance to try to lower his ERA behind Strasburg's. I think this is going to be one more of those padding the stats for Max Scherzer to get that Cy Young award. He needs only 2 2/3 innings to get to 200 on the season. He should be able to get there. Last start against the Mets, 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. He's at 263 strikeouts for the season. If he goes to 200 innings tomorrow, it'll be his 5th straight season with 200 innings. The last time he didn't was going back all the way to 2012. Scherzer has not pitched against the Pirates this season. Of course, he had that no-hitter against Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. Andrew McCutchen, 4 for 23 with a double, a home run, and 3 RBIs. Starling Marte's 4 for 12. And Adam Frazier's a couple of doubles. Not much else for the Pirates against Scherzer this year. As for Taillon, he's gone through so much off the field this season. I'm just glad to see him back. And he was one of the top young prospects in the game. He's only 25. Not a bad game against the Cardinals last time out. 5 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts. He's had a couple of good performances lately. 3 runs allowed his last 2 starts against Milwaukee and St. Louis. He's actually given up 2 runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5, so at least he's going in on a good note. And the Pirates hope he's a big part of their future because he's definitely got a really good upside to him. But the numbers since the break aren't good. A 327 opponent's batting average against. Some of the numbers, Harper's 2 for 3, but nobody has a home run. And the only RBIs are from Adam Lind and Ryan Zimmerman. Right now it's Gio Gonzalez against Stephen Brodt in the series finale, in the regular season finale Sunday. Remember, every game starts at 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. All right, so let's see what you guys have as guesses. Mark DeRosa, no, not right, but close. But good point. DeRosa did play for both. I'll give you another hit. There's a bunch of people that played in baseball with the same last name. I'll give you a third hint. If I can find one here. Really tough one. I kind of toughened up the trivia tonight, but I found this one interesting. Let me just make sure I have the right information. I have the right information. I just want to double check, at least hints-wise. Okay. His brother was also in the major leagues. Utility player. Comes from a family of brothers who have played in the majors. Let's see if you get. Not Johnny Gomes. Good guess. I'm liking the guesses though. I'll give you a little bit more time. I want to see if somebody figures it out. I know Judo's doing a lot of research tonight. Judo would be really good in the research department somewhere. By the way, Mike Trout just his 200th career home run. So congratulations to Mike Trout. Rough end to the Angels. I mean, they really had a bad end to their season. As they had a shot at really the whole AL wildcard kind of dissipated within a week. I give credit to the Twins. They absolutely earned it. And Paul Molitor, to me, probably in the running for manager of the year. So again, what do you got from that? Let me give you what we had on the site today. I had 3 articles on the site. We had, let's see what we had here. Oh, Drew wrote about how the offense has stalled in September. Before tonight, the offense wasn't looking very great, but hopefully that changed to tonight's game. Ron wrote about Mike Rizzo and the finest work he's done this season. And I wrote about the minor league awards. If you didn't hear about it yesterday, Daniel Johnson won Hitter of the Year. Wander Suero won Pitcher of the Year. And Roddy Reed won the Bob Boone Award. All 3 guys that made a significant impact in the minors, or in Reed's case, got a chance to make his big league debut. You could make the case Robles should have won not big league, but minor league player of the year. But Daniel Johnson, over 20 home runs across Hagerstown and Potomac. Really was a big surprise. Was their 5th-round pick in 2016. Could play all over the outfield. He's the guy who really was one of the breakout prospects this year. And he could be a part of the outfield in a couple of years, or maybe could be a part of a trade. You wouldn't rule that out. But Johnson definitely earned the recognition. And Wander Suero, dominant this season in Double-A Harrisburg and Triple-A Syracuse. Kind of surprised he didn't get that call up to the majors. I think he earned it, but he's been in spring training for the big league club each of the last 2 years, and I think he'll get a shot next year to compete for a bullpen job. I think he's turned a lot of eyes in that organization. All right, let's see what we got here for guesses. No, not Stephen Drew. I don't think Drew played for the Cubs. So we're good. Let's review. July 2013. You got to kind of think about this one a little bit. I'll give you one more guess, and I'll tell you. He played for the Nats for 2 seasons. So the end of 2013 and the beginning of 2014. He's played for 6 different teams. Okay, what trade was he trade? Okay, I'll give you that. That's the last hint I'm giving you. Traded for Ivan Pinheiro and a player to be named later. I don't know if that really helps you, Seth, but it's one of those weird trades. Now that month after they got David DeJesus, but that wasn't really a trade, so we're not counting that. That was an August deal. Count non-waiver trade deadline moves between the Nats and the Cubs. Yeah, I can't give that one away. I'm giving you like 5-6 hints. Was mainly an outfielder. Mainly an outfielder, did play some second base earlier in his career, but mainly a utility outfielder. Didn't really do well at the Nats, 215 in 2 seasons. I'm throwing out a lot of different hints here. I don't know if somebody will get it. Judo, I saw just tweet this. In 98, the Braves had 3 pitchers, sub-3 ERAs, and over 15 wins. Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine. All right. So Seth, I'll just tell you. In July 2013, the Cubs traded Scott Hairston. Scott Hairston's brother is, of course, Jerry Hairston Jr. Hairston didn't have a long time with the Nats. I remember him actually, I think, with the Mets for a time. Definitely one of those players way out of left field. Was not an easy one. We've given you easy trivia questions before. Hopefully I'll have another one for you tomorrow, but the answer is Scott Hairston. So if you got that at home, good for you. So tomorrow I know Ron has something on the Nats. Gave out their media awards today. I'll give you those who won those awards. Anthony Rendon won Player of the Year. Max Scherzer won Pitcher of the Year. And Ryan Zimmerman wins the Media Good Guy Award. Coco added original voting for the Good Guy Award featured a tie between Zimmerman and Worth. Zim then won the runoff vote. So crazy how media votes come down to that. But Zimmerman deserves it. Worth, I'm sure, would deserve it. And I hope Jason Worth gets a nice standing ovation on Sunday. I'm sure Nats fans will do that. The crowd was good tonight. I'll give the crowd a lot of credit for games that really don't mean that much. Other than maybe breaking the franchise record in wins, they're out in full force. And hopefully that happens on Friday, whenever start time it is. That's all right. And you said it, Judah, 98 Braves the last team to do it, and all 3 of those guys are Hall of Famers. Max is probably the best bet to get the Hall of Fame out of the 3, Team Max, Strasburg, and Gio. Strasburg, though, to his credit, probably has been one of the better #1 picks in the last 15 years. I think while he hasn't lived up to the hype as much when he got drafted, and I love that Bob showed the scorebook from his Major League debut, but when he's on his game and he's healthy, he's one of the toughest pitchers in the league. Let me see if I can get Strasburg's updated second half stats, and then we'll wrap it up here. I think Drew's also supposed to have something on Michael Taylor tomorrow. Strasburg, 5-1, .98 ERA over 9 starts. I'm not sure if that's updated. That's his second half numbers. Let's see if you guys get anything here. Nah, don't worry about it, Seth. That's a tough one. You actually met him when he was with Syracuse. That's a tough one. I mean, I wouldn't beat yourself up for that one. That's a really hard question. I'll try to come up with another Nats Cubs theme one tomorrow night for you guys. So again, give this video a like and subscribe here on the YouTube page. Tweet us on Twitter at DistrictOnDeck or at Ricanator555 and like us on Facebook. We're hoping to have a Nats Cubs show early next week. Hopefully I'll have a Cubs guest for you to break it down. We'll hopefully have Nats fans and Cubs fans in the chat. We'll have some fun for maybe about a half hour. I haven't wrapped up the guest yet, but once we do, I'll let you know. And then Thursday night at, I think, 8 o'clock, all three of us will be here, and we'll break down the series even more. I have a Tale of the Tape slideshow coming up middle of next week where I break down the series by position, starting pitching, bullpen, bench, manager, anything you want broken down, I'm going to have it for you. We got so much we're working on. We'll have previews for every game. We'll have storylines the next day. We'll have reaction the following morning. And, of course, we'll do post games after every Nats postseason game. So we're here for you guys the entire way, and we're excited to do it. So, again, Nats get the win 6-1 tonight. Great outing from Max Scherzer. Lineup was great. Couldn't ask for much more. And hopefully they bring the same kind of performance. I would think tomorrow and then Sunday you see a lot of the bench players. If I think Dusty will try to get maybe the starters maybe 3 or 4 innings, and then they'll go to the bench. But I think tomorrow night's really the last dress rehearsal for the postseason. And, yeah, I think, Judo, like I said before, if Strasburg was healthy for that month, with Scherzer's injuries and with Kershaw's injuries, Strasburg would have had a great chance. But he's definitely going to get at least in the top 5, at the very least. I think it's between Scherzer, Kershaw, Strasburg, Gio, and Greinke. Those are really the 5. It's a matter of what order you put them in. So thank you guys again for tuning in. So for all of us here at District on Deck, maybe it will be a great outing for Max Scherzer, but a great outing for Strasburg. If I said Scherzer, I apologize. Maybe I'm conceding to the future and predict Max Scherzer for tomorrow. So for all of us here at District on Deck, for Drew, for Ron, for Sam, and for Brian, I'm Ricky Keeler saying hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night for Max Scherzer and the Nats against the Pittsburgh Pirates.